Um, Thank you all for coming. My name is Mary Brainey. I am a library consultant, and I work with different libraries to help design building programs. And a building program is the letter to the architect, instructions to an architect that tells what is needed in any given town for library services. And it defines sizes and shapes, and not shapes, I'm sorry, sizes and proximities, and lists best practices and things like that. But a very, very important component, and a critical component, and a required component by the Massaportic Library Commissioners for the grant that they offer, the construction grant, is citizen input, is community input. And so, you know, the survey is out. It's here in paper if you haven't taken it, or you can take it online. And the other piece, we've conducted some focus groups and public forums, and this is second public forum and the last public information gathering live session, but the survey will be up for a while. So this is a brainstorming session, and you know, with brainstorming, there are no bad ideas. You just, you know, say whatever you're thinking about, what's good, bad, and indifferent that you're thinking about. And we're going to use some prompts, and the first of the prompts is strengths. So what are the strengths that you see in the Simon Fairfield Public Library as it exists right now? And it can be the building or any facet of library service. What are some of the strengths?
The people who work there.
We're all right.
The historic value.
Had location. And put it 3 times, location, location, location. It is downtown, proper, biggest building there.
Are you here for library or planning board?
Planning board.
It's the next room over.
Thank you.
Every meeting I'm at is always a conflict with planning board.
They're busy.
Planning board's mean a lot. What are the strengths? And
They go out of their way to help you. If you're trying to search for something, they will take the time to find it for you. And most likely all the time, get what you need. Sorry, that's a lot to write.
it's okay.
I'll give you a little one, C.W. Mars.
What was that?
C.W. Mars, that's the,
Oh, no, I was trying to read what,
oh, sorry.
that's all right.
I can read my own writing when I get home. But it's difficult. We were not allowed to print in school, so I know.
Yeah.
We wrote cursive from day one.
To go to non-school,
Catholic school.
and to,
Yeah. That was it. What else? What is-
The wide breadth of resources available. So from physical to digital, and it seems to be ever expanding.
it's in their attempts to provide programs for all ages. Everybody's included.
can see if Ellie wants to.
Anybody else?
Well, put this one aside and keep thinking about it. Always go back and add. Pick one. Everything's so damn. Paper's I suppose if I put this on here, we could still fit on there. Masking tape over this. In case we want to add any more. All right, now the next thing is challenges. What are some of the challenges? I mean, all of the challenges to the existing.
So the ADA. Limited space.
Maintaining a historical building. I don't know what rules go around that. I'm sure there are some.
More expensive.
Yeah, right.
What else?
The bathroom. Idiot. Beyond ADA compliance.
No one can get it. And it's to sell the idea to a lot of families how important it is. And I don't know, sometimes I just get frustrated. A lot of people feel that they don't need a library, that everything's online. And to me, that's a big challenge to convince them that we need resources like this.
Yeah, community involvement
Exactly.
in general. Even just visiting and using the resources. Parking.
Yep.
There is.
That's funny, because I was going to add to the strength, we have more parking,
Yeah.
which is great.
Some of the strengths can also be challenges.
I'm sorry, that,
I was gonna say, the strengths can also be challenges in different ways.
oh, sure,
Yeah.
absolutely, yep. What else do you see as particularly challenging?
What about like being relevant in a digital age with social media and youth in that way, and how quickly it evolves?
Probably their budget. Who knows?
Okay. Yeah.
Sure.
Like space to be in there, like individually, and have, you know, space away from other people, like if we're looking to do work or meet as a small group.
I know in the last design, they wanted a community meeting room, but it's not necessary.
don't know if this is necessarily a challenge, but I feel like there's well, it's more of an opportunity, I guess, for involving more arts in the community in general. And whenever I think of a library, I feel like that's a home for places like that.
Next category is opportunity.
Okay, perfect.
Absolutely.
Keep an eye
Any
on
more,
my story box.
Yeah.
any more challenges you can think of before we move to opportunities? Okay. So, opportunities. And arts and performance space, is that what you said? Right, right. Now, opportunities, when you look at the strengths, when you look at the challenges, and when you think about now's the time things could be made different, what are some of the opportunities that you could take advantage of to address the challenges, build on the strengths, or even be innovative? What are some of them? So one is art, provide art performance space.
The more you add, the less parking you have too.
All right, so an opportunity to add parking.
You need more space.
Have a little outdoor area, so the children learning that Miss Debbie does, some of it could be outside, but also if you get a book and you can go outside, sit at a picnic table and enjoy reading when you get lunch or something.
Yep, so for programs and for.
Classes or programs for learning how to crochet, knit, art, or something. Some type of
I used to take
programs.
Space to have
poetry
them.
classes there. I mean, this is probably 20 years ago, but I took quilting classes there,
Knitting.
embroidery, poetry writing.
Wow, you took a lot of classes.
Yeah, usually because I knew the instructor, and they were like, "You're coming to this."
Who was it?
So Margaret McGinnis had done a poetry writing. I honestly don't remember who did the quilting. We made pillows, and I don't remember who did that. I'll have to rack my brain
How
and
long
ask the
ago
people
was
who did
that?
it with me. Probably 20 years ago.
Wasn't the
20,
Dwayne,
25
was
years
it?
ago? How old am I? 35. Yeah.
Dwayne
We had a
was-
handicraft group that met at the library weekly right before the pandemic that never came back. And we've
No.
still got like all the stuff,
Yeah.
like the quilting and knitting stuff. Nobody to run it or do it.
So
But it'd be nice to see more community involvement too in the library, you know, to take for the community to
Yeah,
take
marketing.
more of an interest.
Opportunities. Monetary support, fundraising,
Exactly.
expanding the Friends.
For the town to come
program.
together to support the library.
Maybe engage with the other local organizations and businesses to collaborate on mutual efforts.
Are you here for planning board? Are you here for planning board or library?
If you want to come back, we can.
Please stay.
Thanks for coming. Maybe you'll have some ideas.
After the planning board, can they just come over?
Yeah.
Um,
More space for materials and books.
Storage. I can't imagine storage is easy there.
It's fun.
Yeah.
What's on the wish list, Justin? Movable shelving?
Ooh.
I would like high capacity shelving that like collapses on its shelf so we can store more stuff. And movable shelving in different places too. But like main stacks areas, I would like, you know, high density storage. But that's just me talking, so that. But in like public spaces with like, you know, children's areas and whatnot, mobile shelving would be really good because you could configure the space and move things around.
I saw your post about the sanding and, you know, waterproofing.
Mhm.
I think Wise Painting is doing the Historical Society painting. And they may at least be some, and I know they work on historical homes and things like that. They may, if they don't do the trim, they may at least know someone who can, or would recommend someone.
And poke them. I
Yeah.
certainly see them every day.
Yeah, yeah.
What else? Any more?
You know, these are all wonderful ideas.
Yes.
But the fact still remains that we don't have the space per se, you know, between the grounds and the building.
So this building program ignores the existing space. This building
Okay, all
program
right,
takes
that's-
out what you need, okay? It does
Okay.
not say it has to stay in this building. You know, it just says what you need. Eventually, you wind up hiring an architect who figures out if they can, how to make that work, if you can fit it into the space, or if you have to do something else or go somewhere else. I mean, that's a little further down the line. The other thing is that the grant application requires a minimum of 2 separate sites be identified.
Oh, all right.
And so it can, you know, can be the building that you have, but you have to identify 2 different places. So you're not locked in,
To that, all right, okay.
you're not locked in, you're not locked out either, you
Yeah.
know, it's,
Okay.
this is the narrative part. And then they take, the next step is seeing what they can do.
I didn't realize that. In other words, I thought all these things were for the existing building. I didn't realize that.
And that's the most difficult thing for, you know, when working on things like this. We all keep thinking about what we're familiar with, what we know, our existing space. And we're trying to put that aside. And just think about the best things that we need.
Oh, yeah, because I mean, I've been in libraries where, I mean, it brings tears to our eyes. And there'd be huge parent groups that, let's say on a Tuesday morning, bring their little kids. And the kids go off into their reading area, and the parents brainstorm, they socialize, but, you know, they're planning like, let's have a plant sale, let's do this, let's do, in other words, they're all on board. It's not just scattered people. And they do so many great things, and they get the community involved.
Yep, so that's really good that, you know, community involvement,
Yeah.
this is an opportunity to do that.
From what I understood, the deed specifies that it has to always be a library.
Correct.
Which
So if
means
they-
the other places,
Mhm.
having 2 places.
Or, and I don't want anyone to panic when I say this, I'm just saying, you can abandon the building.
Exactly.
I mean, that's something that has to be acknowledged, that if it's going to go somewhere else, I believe the stipulation is that the existing building remain as a library or goes back to the 80s of
James Marshall Fairfield.
James. Yeah. I mean, that's what's in the
Who,
program.
we have no idea who are, but, you know.
But the other thing that, I mean,
Powers that be are trying to
there
figure
are a
out.
lot of libraries that are tied to rules like this. They have various stipulations, and it's, you know, you find who the people are and you want. So those are things that need to be determined before you go for the grant, but it just, yeah, this one, if it's not a library, it goes back to the years.
Opportunity to be a larger building.
Are y'all here for planning board? Yes. Is the next room over tonight? Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Well, just throwing it out there, I thought of this the other night, that if, for instance, the library wasn't there anymore, could it possibly be used with some books in it, but also an educational center?
Like a branch.
So that the town didn't lose the building?
The deed says library and public reading room. So, I mean, I definitely think that there's room there for interpretation.
Okay.
But would the town be willing to support two separate entities?
Yeah, so these are all
That's
the-
what you're up against.
Yeah, that's exactly right. These are all the things that are in the hopper. That's what we do. Yep. Any other opportunities you'd like to seize?
Is this where we would put, don't shoot the messenger, handicap accessible? I know the Friends of the Library are trying extremely hard to get that happen.
Yep.
But just in case it has to be on the list.
It's perfect. I mean, absolutely, this is an opportunity to do that, for sure.
Handicap accessibility is a given.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
But it's
not
important to
legal not to.
recognize. It's important to recognize it. Yeah. All right, going once, going twice. Now, the next one, next category gives you a little more to think about. And that is the way that MBLC has been phrasing it. If a tornado took your building down, and given what happened in North Brookfield this weekend, we know that they're around. Fortunately, that one wasn't bad, it was just out in the country. But a tornado or something took it away. In other words, if you could start absolutely fresh, no old building, totally brand new from the ground up, what would you have in your ideal library?
A lot of space.
I think like a combination of open space and private space.
All on one floor.
Community garden.
That's what I was just gonna say, outside space too.
Yeah, outside space, community
You here for-
garden.
Are y'all here for planning board?
Yeah.
Next room over.
Sorry, thank you.
They definitely need better signage out there.
Does the planning board usually meet here?
It does.
Oh, okay.
They don't usually meet tonight, though. They had to reschedule their meeting, and so they wanted to take this room at the last minute, but I was like, we have a public forum we've had advertised for like 3 months, so it'd be great if we could keep it.
They're very negotiable. What else? So what are some of the other ideal library?
Bless you.
Media rooms,
Just
What do you
trying to
mean
think
by-
like-
state of the
What do you mean
art.
by
Yeah.
media room? What do you mean by media room?
Plays an opportunity where people can view things digitally or, do something like this with Zoom. I guess a space where speakers can present and, maybe art could be displayed or,
I like the idea of a case that different groups could place their wares in there. They would have to schedule and have a calendar and all that. But for instance, I belong to a painting chapter, so we have a traveling education portfolio thing that it would display different types of artwork, and here's the group we belong to. So that would be something I would display in the case. But it would be nice to have something for whoever and just work through the library of what's available, when available, and what are you putting in it.
like a home base almost for community organizations. I think a lot of people meet at home, at their homes.
There are so many book clubs in town that do not meet at the library because at home they can drink wine.
Shame on them.
So far.
Yeah.
What about an area for sensory people, children that love the library, but when they get their book, whatever, they need a nice quiet space? I'm not sure the wording of that.
Yeah, like a sensory,
cuddle corner.
safe
Ooh,
environment.
that's cute, I like that.
Good one.
No, there's actually a word for these kinds of spaces,
Yeah.
and it's in my email because I was just talking to somebody about it.
I know there is a word, you think I know it because I've written it down many times.
Exactly.
But yes, they're.
Wind down room.
Hmm?
A wind down.
Wind down room.
Yeah,
Oh,
What is it?
a wind down room.
Oh,
I like
all right.
the cuddle corner better.
And comfort corner is the.
Oh, that's a good one,
Yeah.
okay.
But some people might not want the leash on it.
Yeah,
Don't
well,
touch me. I don't want
Don't
comfort,
touch me.
leave me alone.
Well, for those people, there's outside.
What else? Anything else? What else?
Another bathroom, so there's two. Just in case the first one's busy, you're able to use the next one.
Are you saying that as a patron or as an Oktoberfest committee person?
Oh, that could go for both.
Yeah,
That
right.
could go for both. I always pre-warn you before Oktoberfest, okay? Lots of toilet paper, lots of paper towels.
That's right.
Well, actually, when you build a new building today, doesn't it require, like, for a public building,
Yeah.
so many bathrooms? or
There are,
something?
yes,
Yeah.
there are,
Yeah, and it's
So we don't
handicap
have to worry
accessible, it
about
has
the
to
one-
be,
yeah.
yes.
yeah, and.
But I mean, back to challenges,
family-
the bathrooms. Whenever Oktoberfest puts out the porta potties now, like
Yeah.
people have stopped using our bathrooms because the porta potties are nicer.
Yeah.
I feel like if there were to be a new library, that it would be a structure that's like art itself. So that if, in a perfect world, if we could design the library, that it would actually be designed like a piece of art itself.
A place where people want to go,
Mhm.
yeah.
My mind goes to glass metal. I'm like, oh, wait, that's kind of really Martin. Yeah, okay.
Have you been to
have
the
a little
Webster
bit
Library?
of something else? Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's blend them.
Yeah, the Webster Library is just like that, and it's huge now. Yeah.
My
And-
mind goes to like whenever I think of Douglas, I think of state forest, I think of water, and I think of farm.
A water feature.
I mean, I don't think of mills anymore.
Mhm.
And, like, this is a mill library. Like,
Yeah.
what if we had like a wood library?
So I'll tell you, I don't know if any of you have been to the Woburn Public Library, but they just got a national award from American Institute of Architects, American Library Association for the architecture, and they kept the original, and they built like a glass wall and an interface in between, and then the new addition that's modern, but they work beautifully together. Very interesting.
Amazing. That's cool. A nod to the past.
Architecturally, but also functionally, it works, because sometimes it doesn't, and it's tricky. The South Hadley Library is new, but it was constructed on the bank of the river to look like an old building. So it, from the outside, you could think perhaps it was a mill building that was converted to a library. So people do try to fit things into the architecture, the mindset, whatever, of towns. Good architects will do that. So it's those are the kinds of things. Sure, we're going to put this in. Absolutely. Say, classic example is the Worcester Public Library, which has now had 2 additions, but that old brutalist building in downtown Worcester replaced a gorgeous old brick and granite library, and incredibly. And if any of you have ever parked at the Pearl Elm Garage when you've gone to like Mechanics Hall or something, that's where the library is. And they tore it down, put up a parking lot.
Like they do
I think there's a
everything.
song about that.
Yeah, exactly.
There is.
Classic, so they want to see that.
Or
there it
Counting
is.
Crows. Yeah.
And they built that, they built what they built. But then.
I grew up with it, so I don't mind it.
Well, it depends on,
Although when they were renovating and they moved the Worcester Public Library into an old mill
Oh, mill
building, it was
building.
actually really cool.
it was cool, yeah.
They did a great job.
The old oiled floors and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you could, and the stacks and stuff. But I'm just saying the contrast
Yeah.
at that time, and that was in the 60s. So but the contrast, did they look at what they were giving up versus what they were building? So we absolutely put that in the building community sensitive to. Justin wants.
Has anyone been in the Clark University Library? My mom worked there. I went to school there. It's so bad. If you want to
I can give
have
you
an
a list.
example of what not to do.
And that was built about the same time as
Yeah.
Worcester Public, and they took down 2 beautiful old Victorian houses, 2 exquisite little jewels. That's my neighborhood. I go to. So, maybe way more than I'm really familiar with that.
You came from Maine some? Did you? I did too.
And Columbus Park.
I lived on Birch Street.
So did my grandmother.
Really?
We'll talk when the teeth. So, anything else? That building from new, what would you like in it?
More books.
More books, yes.
I just did you say?
More books?
Just state of the art, that, to keep up with
The
the rest
Thompson
of the
Library
world.
has a 3D printer that people can use.
Yeah, I'd love to try one of those myself.
I'm sorry, I didn't,
A 3D printer.
oh,
There's going to be
I
another
can't even
difference
tell
in
you
the
what's
library
on
online
I mean,
auction this
obviously,
fall.
but.
Because I spent 3 days trying to get the infernal device to do what I wanted it to, and it was either throw it out the window or put it in
Yeah.
the auction.
So it's-
Yeah, I lived there.
So I can throw it out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right in Norfolk, else that we live in.
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, that was
I was trying to,
Like, it's not too
I'll show you this
Yeah.
quickly.
And it doesn't have a lot of big names.
anything else? Starting from scratch, what else? What are the elements you want? Any other elements?
that it's inviting. I mean, you can have a building you look at and it's as cold as, you want it to be inviting.
About having it energy efficient, solar panels, low carbon footprint. Yes, which would be part of the building codes anyway. But
Right.
sure.
We are actually, the mini splits are so energy inefficient, it's actually giving them a hard time. That's why we had that $3,000 credit at the end of the fiscal year that like.
This is-
Oh, sorry.
She's like, you were supposed to use more power.
We have one at home and it's like,
I-
when it's on.
Figure that the voices must be being picked up on TV because the director isn't frantically waving, saying, speak up. Anything else? If not, let's go back. Have one more category. And the final category is money for no object.
Everything on the page before.
But now you can do more.
Run trips.
That's great. What else?
Well, since no one else is going, an outdoor Greco-Roman amphitheater would be nice.
Yeah.
Hey,
There you go.
that would solve a lot of,
We rock concerts in the summer, right?
That would be fun.
Okay. Classic rock, let's put it
Oh,
down.
yeah. It's in the local bands out of Boston. Aerosmith is still alive.
Yeah.
My kids know how to make
Music
music
where
with
you will
us.
be.
what else?
Hiking trails.
Nature trails?
Yep.
Open,
Come on, what do you want? Boy Scout meeting room.
open.
Come on, everything was on the other piece of paper.
A restaurant.
Restaurant?
A cafe, library cafe.
There you go.
I was waiting for someone to say that. Yep.
Like we could have a radio station like Boston Public Library.
Oh, yeah, that would be so great. I love local radio stations.
I would love.
There's one in Dudley that I don't get a reach here, but I got in Thompson. And it played all 50s, 60s,
Speaking
70s.
about Dudley, did they close their library?
I don't know.
Not yet.
It's still up in
This
the
week is-
air.
Or next week or something is their last day?
They
or
have
is
a
it
town meeting
tomorrow?
on Monday to determine what happens next.
That's sad.
Yeah. it's-
But they're
Their town
open for the
administrator
moment,
is
they're open
being
for
held
the
over a
moment.
barrel though by the regional school district, because no matter what they do on Monday, their school district can call a super town meeting afterwards and force them to pay. So like, there's too many moving pieces still
Yeah.
to tell how it's gonna suss out.
What else? Blank checks.
Blank checks.
More staff.
Sure.
Yep. Event planners, coordinators. Bring those speakers in, with the cultural commission.
It wouldn't be hard to do if we had space to do it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You could bring the senior center, I mean, the adult social
Oh, yeah,
center.
I mean, as much money as the Friends of the Library raise for us every year, if we could spend that on programming instead of trying to get the building ready to do programming, we could do so
Exactly.
much programming.
Yeah.
What else?
It would be great if the library was financially stable to provide scholarships to youth in the area.
It has its own trust fund that we never have to worry about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a danger to that, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because if your town becomes uninvested in funding your library and it becomes its own institution that is expected to fund itself separately, you cut yourself off from municipal support as well.
Oh,
I don't
sorry.
know.
But there's a happy medium, there's a happy medium.
Where's the happy medium?
Well, that you,
It's like 3 million? Is that the happy medium?
how many of those programs did you want to do? You want to bring in portable buildings and they.
How many times I've thought of calling Ernie Bach and asking him to help support our little library. It won't take a whole lot of money in his estimation, or in his money world, or whatever, but so many times I've wanted to reach out to him. Because, I mean, he's really good with helping
Mhm.
good causes.
Yep. So can you think of anything? Mike? I'll tell you what's behind my doing this particular category. I know some of you have heard it before. When we were doing our library in Spencer, an old building about the same age as this one roughly, and a little, I don't know, within 50, a little bit older, and addition renovation, and limited lot size. We really wanted a dedicated archival space to store materials, to have climate control and humidity control, you know, to preserve materials. And it wasn't in the budget, there was no place, we never thought it would happen. But we told the architect, it went into the building program, so it was written down. So we get into the construction phase, and they go to break through the old to put the addition on, and find out that everything in the walls has crumbled. So they cannot support it the way they thought they were going to on the old building. They had to re-engineer the whole thing. So the whole project stopped while they re-engineered. In the course of doing that, they found out, the architect came to us one day and said, "This is so great. I can give you that space you want," because the way they had to support it, it created way up in the top of the building a little extra space. The elevator reached it. It was, you know, because that's how the elevator had to work. The elevator had to be the size it had to be because of the height of the roof and all those things. And son of a gun, if we hadn't said that, we never would have gotten that space. So this is really designed to bring out some of the things that are kind of on your wish list or dream list, but also might be attainable if we know about it ahead of time. So that's really what this.
So we're talking about a possible storage space that a lot of the artifacts and information from way back when can be stored, and somewhere in the library could be displayed as well, so they're not going to decay away.
Right. And so we
should write it down.
We had the display, we actually had the display space built in, but there was no place for preservation.
Right.
And so this was an extra
Preservation.
added attraction.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
I described it, you can put it up wherever you want.
historical preservation and display. But I've encountered so many times doing this that people have said things that they want that aren't off the charts. But they never would have said them because they thought it would be expensive. You don't necessarily get restaurants and the swimming pools and things like that,
What about a
but.
reading area on the roof
Wow.
Oh.
There you go. Yeah.
with a telescope?
What did you say?
A reading area on the roof.
A
Just like make the elevator go up to the roof.
Observatory.
So that
Yeah,
the
an
outdoors take
That'd be
place.
nice if we were in Boston and there was a skyline or something.
You'd need more than one telescope.
It's actually really beautiful up there.
Yeah, I know it.
Because I can look, I go up there sometimes just for fun.
Yeah.
Because you can look up Main Street, down Main Street, over the church, see the sunsets. It's
So you
amazing.
have rooftop access?
Yeah, it's through the attic. Do you want to go take pictures up there?
Sure, not today. Wear my climbing,
Yeah,
climbing the
some
ladder,
boots or something.
picture taking shoes. I will. Sure, absolutely, I do. Yeah, that would be great.
I didn't realize there was that space up there. We'll be talking, Justin.
Well, it's not flat, it's graded, so.
Oh, so it's not
like,
safe
You have a
for,
safety issue.
like,
It's not safe for doing anything up there at
Okay.
all, but you can like poke your head out the top of the attic
All right,
and, you know,
okay.
like,
You knew
Adam
where I was
Furno will
going
run
with
around
that.
the top of it like a gremlin and not scared of falling off at all, but like,
The average human wouldn't. Yeah.
Anything else? In any of the categories?
well, we have the tornado listing as well.
Yeah.
So, because I was going to renew that we need that case for, you know, a locked case for groups to display whatever.
So first thing we put is everything
Right.
on the tornado list. Yep.
tree inside you.
Oh, boy. You get the tree, you get the bugs, the squirrels, the birds.
That's okay.
Did you say tree inside?
Put a swing on it.
I have a Norfolk Island pine that would love to move. It's way too big for plants.
I don't really want that.
You could have a plant wall.
A water feature would. be
No, I
nice.
want to put books on that wall.
Yeah.
The water feature can go out there.
Oh, yeah. Water feature.
Water feature?
Would be beautiful.
Or there could be a water wall when you walk into the
Oh, it'd be so peaceful.
atrium.
Yeah, well, I have a question
Do
Put
we
a
have
mini
the
causeway
atrium
through
on?
it.
Yeah.
I have a question for Justin. With the water feature, will that put out moisture where we don't want it to
I
go?
would want it outside.
Okay.
I don't want any inside water features.
I love the
Bathroom is
rooftop
enough.
idea.
Did I put that down? Yes, I did.
The rooftop?
I did. Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Can you do that? I mean, restaurants.
Well, if you have something else, that's fine, but we're getting to about the end of the hour, and we try to keep it to around an hour. So if you want to, if you have anything else, I'll stick around, happy to stick around. Otherwise,
Last chance, Ellie.
LA.
I only was able to hear about 25% of what was said here.
Oh, no.
So
Oh, you
it,
should have said
the audio was not great.
oh, thank you for telling us that, all right. Thank you. All right.
So I can't wait for your report, Mary.
Okay. I'll have it along, I'll have it shortly. So, thank you all for coming. Really appreciate you taking the time, and it's been very helpful. And I guess we can.
Dream.
You're
We
in
can
a
dream.
That's right, that's right. And don't forget, if you have not done the survey, paper copies here, electronic copies.
Has anyone not done the survey?
Yeah, but-
Oh.
Can I give one to you?
Yes, please.
I don't think I've done it online.
We're so close to getting 200 surveys.
Yeah, my husband did one, but I didn't do one.
I did one.
You can do one here or do it online.
And the little plea I sent out in the newsletter worked. I actually had, like 9 alleged 19 to 25-year-olds responses.
Great, oh, good.
That's great. I love to
Much
hear
better than
that.
the one.
I love to hear that.
Excellent.
Yeah. That's what's so sad today, is you'll see parents giving their kids iPads and phones and teach them to read, teach them to love to. I used to tell my kids when they were little, I'm bored, I'd say, pick up a book and read it. You'll never be lonely. A book can be your best friend, but you have to get them when they're,
When they're little.
yeah.
With the right book,
I
you can still
had
be.
books hidden all over the house,
Depending upon what
so
you're
I could
reading.
escape anywhere and hide and instead of book reading.
I have to read.
Yeah.
So what's next?
What's next? So now I write the report. Justin's gotten most of the statistics that I need as well. And so now I just take everything and I go back and start drafting. They still have to make some decisions and things like that too. And so we'll put the report in. It's about 100, it's up to about 100 pages with everything in it, including photographs and things like that. So that's next, to draft the building program itself. Pretty much. This is the last public forum. The survey's out, and at the end of the fiscal year, all the libraries in the state have to do a report, and so Justin has finished his, so that stuff has to go in. So that's,
Is there any state funding available for new builds or?
yeah, and well, that's what this construction grant is. It's, it can be addition, renovation only, or new building. And they give about 50%, they've been given around 50% of the eligible project costs. Not all the project costs are eligible. Furniture is not eligible. Landscaping is not eligible. But a lot of the construction costs are eligible.
Really?
Yep. Yeah. So that's next.
I was on a old grammar school disposition committee, and it was right up by the schools and everything behind the post office.
Yes.
And that was possibly, they wanted to have a library there, but
Justin took me on the tour, so I've seen it, yeah. So, as I said, they have to, Justin, as part of the grant proposal, has to provide at least 2 sites.
Yeah.
And so,
I just
whether
thought-
the town decides that's one of them, or, there are a couple other places, but, yeah, those things are still on the radar. The grant itself is not due until next April 1.
March 2024.
Thought it was April 2024. but
I'm going
that's
to tell
okay.
myself it's March. even if
Okay,
it is April.
okay. Good. Yeah.
So I ask, and I've been quiet listening.
Yeah.
And hi, Ellie, how are you? I was a trustee for well over 15 years, chairman of the trustees for many of them. Went through 2 of these, and then a Prop 2.5 vote.
Yes.
Which that broke my back, the Prop 2.5 vote. We got this close to shutting down, and I had enough. And this is all great. We did this in the past several times, and we brought several proposals. One, the last one we thought maybe would work, and it never did. But the things that bothered me with this is this building, it can be adequate if that one line right there, ADA compliance, was there. And I worked very hard, the trustees worked very hard to get ADA compliance, and they just wouldn't give it to us. And it's like, they wanted us to have a super building, right? There was one time, the library's building now is about, my figures could be gone, but it's about 4,000 square feet. We had one proposal there that was to take it and make it 16,000 square feet. Bump out to the parking lot and this and that. It was an awesome site. It was a beautiful building. We had all these things that we were looking at it to go in there. And then you got to the grant, and yeah, they were going to give us $3 million, but it was a $7 or $8 million project. And this is Douglas, okay? This is Douglas. I don't have to say anymore. It's not Wellesley, or what was that place that you mentioned?
Westwood.
Yeah, Westwood, right?
Like Westwood, they just said, yep, I said to the director, oh, so you're going to raise money? He said, nah, they'll pay for it. And they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's quite a big difference in this. Now, if they gave us a grant to build the whole thing, would be awesome. Or gave you a grant to take care of ADA, it would be awesome, right? I was part of it when we hired him, all right? Probably the best move the board did, okay?
Definitely.
It was, we're going in the right direction. And it's just, you're dangling that carrot all this cool stuff and everything, that's not achievable. It's not, unless you come up with something magical. I don't know why the Library Commission doesn't say, look, let's take all our buildings throughout, no matter what, put them to ADA compliance right off the bat. You know what? Why are we here? Why aren't we in the library? You know why? Because we can't meet in the library, right? It irritated me for years, because when we first started, we had our board meetings in the library. And it was great, we were there and this and that, and then all of a sudden, someone from this building came up and says, oh, you guys can't have the meeting there. We even recorded it there, but you can't have the meeting there anymore. You gotta come here because the building's not compliant. Doesn't have handicap access, right? And that irritated me. Like, we're the library, board of trustees, we can't meet in our own building, okay? Why can't they just say, look, let's get you up to compliance, right? It's expensive.
It is expensive, yeah.
You know, and you know what? The things that he helped get that parking lot in the back. We were all trying to, we had a plan for a parking lot, and because of the water in the back, we had to do, I don't know, my budget, I think it was $160,000 worth of pavement and water retention and this and that, because 20 feet in the back corner of that property was too close to the river, okay? And he got Pine and somebody else in the town to scoop that up, and they dropped off the grindings, and we got the town to put the access in there from that road. And we were trying to get the bank to give us a circle around, but that never happened. You know, pull in from the bank and go around it and stuff. Simple things that, you know, and we had the people who worked in the bank, in the library, had a park in the bank parking lot, and it was they were being nice to let our staff park there, you know. This gets everybody's hopes up. I love to see half that stuff. I'm a fan of the library. I think it's important. But the people that come into this town, they leave for work in the morning, and then they come back, and they don't want money put to their library. And you start this and this and that, and it all goes back to the Library Commission that, you know, why can't, they got tons of money, why can't they just come into one library, do a grant for the whole thing and be done with it? Fix the building up, we keep with our simple library, because it's a simple town, and but we get handicap access, we get handicap space between the buildings. Hey, maybe we fix it up and we get new windows in the place so we're not spending a fortune on oil. I think we had planned to go to propane, which is more environmental. There's lots of things we do this. These things are grandeur, are awesome, right? One of the things I'm looking at when you're going through there is like, hey, let's just get to another town, because this town's not going to support it. I hate to say it, I put a lot of hopes and aspirations into getting something like that, and they kept the library open with me, and I took it personal, 9 votes.
14 votes.
Oh, hey, we got the final count, hey, right? All right, you know what? 9-14, that's by the skin of our teeth.
Yeah.
Okay? You know, there are people in this town that don't understand the importance of that building down there, right? Historical or otherwise. These things are great. Everything on there should be done, and then some. The people in Douglas deserve it. Can they afford it? And that's the part of all this here, of going through there. Yes, the grant's good. If you can get it, that's great. Bottom line is, if it's a matching grant or more, Douglas is not going to pass it. And you know what? I had high hopes when they put that new building in, right? And they bring millions of dollars into this town, right? Hey, we finally got industry. You know what I'm talking about? Right? I think I heard stories that it was $1 million per building permits and stuff, which is awesome. How much of that money is going to come in to that? And then, you know, we were struggling to stay alive and they did a Prop 2.5 vote, and everybody tagged something in on that vote, you know? You remember? We were looking for what, 200,000 a year? And then it was a
We
million.
passed the override. We just
Yeah,
got to
we
keep our
did.
budget. Everyone else reaped the benefits.
Yeah.
We got to.
And it's like, I had it with politics. It's just not, it's not fair. You know, that building needs public, every other building has public bathrooms, right? Handicap access, you know? And we can't go to any other group to get ADA compliance. Can't go there and just say, hey, let's, give us some money for that. There's handicap money out in other grants. We have to get it from the Library Commission. And between you and me, it sucks, right? That building should be brought up to standards. And then if we go someplace else, or you get another building, or whatever happens, that building could still stay as a public building, you know, and used for a reading center or something like that. You
So,
go to that building, the old school, hey, the old school would be awesome. It's beautiful, it's a hard building, it's built right that, it's gotta go through the same damn stuff, and it's more. Our building is, we don't have to do fire suppression, okay? We didn't have to look at that in our budgeting of that, right? You go to that building, it's bigger, it needs fire suppression, right? There's a lot of things when you start doing things in a building you're mandated to do.
That building would cost a fortune in today's,
Well,
That's why they wanted to sell it.
yeah.
yeah,
You might as well just tear it down, start from
and that's a
scratch.
shame, but you're right. You're right. That's why it sits empty, you know? I mean, I like the library to stay there. We don't need another pizza place or an empty building on Main Street, that's how our world is going.
Yeah,
There's
but
a
I
lot
feel
of-
though that, and I mean, this is, got nothing to do with your views either, but I just feel that if we just make it handicap accessible, which would be great, you're not gonna have any changes.
Well-
You're still gonna have the few people that use the library. There's nothing to bring them. Yeah.
Well, some of that's going to have to come in compliance with what to do. I mean,
I mean,
ADA is not easy.
No, but an
okay?
elevator isn't going to change the,
Right, but see, what happens is the elevator is going to be a new entrance to the building, because you can't make a handicapped person go around and come in the back door.
but what
So
about
the
the
world, which,
95% of the people that are handicapped that don't go to the library?
But-
These are the people we've got to,
I understand, but you know what, when I watched the mother drag a friggin' carriage up that stairs, right? No, she's not handicapped, she's got a kid, and it's that, to get into that building. That, I'm like going, this sucks.
It
okay?
does.
It really is. And the Library Commission does nothing or doesn't care about us to do anything about it, right? They should not force this to be, okay, you gotta do this much and get this kind of money to do that and this and that. And our first round, we had to build their building. And at that point, God, that's, I want to think it was 1990, 2000s. I don't remember exactly when that was proposed. And there was people in town going, it's going to be a 16,000 square foot building. You know, hello, right? Is anybody in this building? What are we going to do to staff this? You know, it was a huge building. It was gorgeous, and they kept the facade out front. They went to the back. They made it was beautiful. It was a little bigger, larger. They didn't have much of a parking lot on the plan, but it was a gorgeous plan. I would have, I would have loved it. It was a major building to put there. That's a very big building. Then we started thinking, as the trustees would, well, how do you have the front desk in there, but people are coming in the back door? And so that means 2 circulation desks. How do you run that stuff and things like that? There was problems in there, but it had everything in it, all right? And that was the first one. And then we cut it down to a new entrance, new parking lot, fixing the basement, because you're gonna do that with the bathrooms and things like that. You gotta fix the basement up, and that got all cleaned up, made more room and this and that. It would have made a very quaint little community library, okay?
And did you have, and that was fully accessible? They
Yes.
made it fully, and did you have a cost estimate for it?
Yeah,
It was
Yeah.
2.7 million.
2.7 million,
2015.
yeah.
Okay, all right.
So it must have been 2008 or 9, that's the first one. Because and the trustees worked real hard on the first one. We went to the town, shot it down, okay? That was a lot of money. Didn't, we were getting a grant, didn't work. And then we went back to the drawing board and redid it again. Just bare bones, things like that, improved it, better, you know, it got new lights, it got new heating system, you know, the bathrooms would be down in the basement, up against the front of the building. That's because of the water supply was there, we had a different entrance, all kinds of stuff, okay? And it would make, if they had done it, that would have made that place a pleasanter spot now and easier access to get. And it had a nice parking lot in the back and everything, you know?
And so
These-
you wouldn't need.
These things, I'm sitting here watching this, and like, oh, great, great, great. Put reality in front of this.
Right, so these things are just, a lot of these things aren't particularly outside the scope of what has to be done anyway. A lot of them are not. The few that are, some that are, maybe they'll wind up in there and maybe they won't. Maybe they'll wind up in the building program and maybe they won't. But if we don't get everything out there, we might miss something that's very important that is not particularly expensive. And we might have a windfall like we did with our magic little room. So that's what really, this exercise is about, making sure all the ideas get out there. And then,
And you know what?
when we go back to.
We did this too.
Yep, I'm sure, oh,
And-
yeah.
and sure,
I'm
we
sure
had
we
to.
did. Yeah,
You know,
yep.
we've gone through it and this and that and
Yeah.
everything. And then the town shot us in the foot and we compromised and we went back. Actually, the two locations that we had to do in the old days was the old school and then the VFW building, okay? So there you go, you're going back to the same two.
Yeah.
All right? And that site, and actually the VFW building would have been a total, knock that building down and put a whole new one right in there and go from there, right? And the numbers on a new building like that were astronomical,
Well,
okay?
I have found that people who got estimates at the height of the pandemic, when everything was so
Yeah.
off the charts, and there was no supplier, and the estimates were absolutely out of this world. But the actual bids that are coming in now are coming in less, coming in lower.
And you know
So
what?
that's hopeful.
I guess you can say that, I'm not saying I'm a landscaper, and my commodities that I buy are not coming down, all right?
Yeah.
They've stated the guys enjoyed making that extra money after the pandemic, and they're staying there. Right, yeah, it comes down a little, and then goes back up.
Some of it on giant projects is just quantity.
Yeah, it's just, they make a deal on quantity, which is
Yeah.
true, and hopefully it'll come through the wash. But the all of this is selling it to this town,
That's
okay?
it.
I think you have the
And-
chair of your selling it to the town committee, Justin.
I think he's done. You're done, aren't you, Joe?
Yeah, I am.
Let me go back to, I think, I don't know, the early 70s when they built the first new grammar school. I was working for the school department at the time, and they had a beautiful building. You know, it was one of these streams, and they were told by the powers to be, it'll never go through the town. They needed a school because, I mean, they couldn't keep sending the kids to the school behind the post office.
Or this building.
And this was the high school.
Yeah.
And anyways, I believe, don't quote me on these figures, the original price of the building was 1.2 million. And the school building committee was told, you've got to get it under $1 million just because of the sound of it. So they kept cutting corners, and they finally got it down to, I don't know, somewhere around $700,000. And, okay, so they built the school. It was too small to begin with. They were told the school is too small, it cannot support the present population. And then, I mean, there was probably 5,000 people living in town at the time. Well, they built the school, everybody's excited. Within the first year, they had to divide the kindergarten into 2 spaces. This is a brand new building. And it was just one thing after another like that. And it's so frustrating. Bite the bullet, do it right, and we don't have to spend more money down the road. And I don't know what
But
the
see,
answer is.
You're right, but schools always, it's important to have good schools. It makes the town that, you've got to put I realize, but you got to put the caliber of a library in there. And there's a lot of people that come in here and they just drive by this building in this town. Never set their foot in there, right? We did surveys to figure how many people come in. We had great enrollment and people coming in. I'm going back to when we had the different director. God, her name escapes me right at the moment. Ann, yes. And she did door counts and this and that. We had a lot of people coming in here, but we still had people going. I remember a town meeting, the guy stands up and goes, we should just open up the school libraries to people and just let them go to the school, remember?
Yeah.
And the guy was just furious. We should just open this building up. And I'm thinking, I had a young child and think, yeah, that's what I want. Strangers coming into the schools that shouldn't be there, mixing with the kids and things like that. It was a foolish idea, but that resonated throughout the auditorium. It's very, and I hate to be a pessimist because I am not. I'm usually an optimist, and I put a number of years in here, and I'm here tonight because it's something that I'd like to see. But this is a very uphill fight, and I blame a lot of this on the library commission people. They should step up and fix every library out here, not with all the razzle-dazzle and all this other stuff, but get them to be compliant. Now, what are you saying? Dudley's going to lose their library?
Yeah, I think
It's
Bernie
like-
used it as the vote.
And I know they're in the towns in hardships and stuff like that, but come on, why would you let a library
I
close?
know somebody that lives in Dudley, and this is their mindset up there. Talking, sitting here talking, the statement would be made, oh, move to Dudley, we don't vote for anything.
Yeah. I know, yeah.
I'm pretty sure there are a lot of
Doing
towns,
that.
I'm pretty sure there are a lot of towns that, fill in the blank, that,
I don't know, it's just,
yeah, I'm pretty.
I love all this, right? I've seen it before. I think I even maybe have notes of where we had it all and paperwork and stuff. And this is the start. It gets people going and things like that. Where's the magic wand that's going to get this to work?
Well, the thing that I
There's no
see
magic.
in Dudley and in Douglas is very few people come out and vote. Very few people come to town
Yeah.
meetings.
That's
So the majority of people, if you ask them, if you got them to show up, who knows what they would vote for?
Yeah.
We really don't know.
What?
And reaching those people, I don't know what it's gonna take, but.
It'll take
we should
another
have a
2018.
civic,
Take another-
education
That's the only time
center
they
in
come
the
out to
library.
vote is when there's an override on the,
Yeah.
Whenever,
unfortunately.
the first
But
time Ann
also,
came to the
libraries
library.
are more popular than any other institution in town. Well, not public safety. I think nowadays, libraries are definitely more popular than schools. A lot of the school age, the demographics have changed. There's fewer kids in schools. There's fewer parents.
I don't even
A
think,
lot of
do we got
people-
librarians in the school?
In the meantime, our
We do?
circulation's gone through the
Oh, wow.
roof. A lot of people use the library. When they were talking about shutting the Dudley Library, people were appalled, astonished, these are probably people who don't pay attention to politics.
Exactly.
Don't vote.
Where are
But
they?
when
Yeah.
that happened and they heard this was gonna happen, they were just flabbergasted.
Yeah, well, see, it's up again, yeah.
Well, and we had that during our 2.5 override,
Yeah.
right? People came out and voted with an extra 14,
Yeah.
okay?
The thing I'll say about that is, that took effort.
Yeah.
A lot of people came to me after the override and said, we're glad the town finally came to its senses and chose to, vote better this time, as if the efforts of the Vote Yes Committee had nothing to do with it. But I mean, in an ideal world, all of the trustees would have been on the Vote Yes Committee, because, the Vote Yes Committee, like, the day of the vote, everyone had a call list of 100 people to call to remind them to go vote. That's the kind of effort it takes. It's doable.
It's doable.
But
It's a campaign.
It's a
It
campaign.
is.
It's just as big as any political.
We've got to change the
And you have
mindset
to
of we
approach it
don't
as a
need a
campaign.
library, you can
Yeah.
look it up online. And those are the folks I want to tell, all right, fine, you don't need to go to the doctor, either you can look it up online,
Right.
put your symptoms in and.
Well, you can still look the stuff up online, but if you
Yeah.
use the library as your
Yeah, but-
intermediary, you don't have to pay.
But see, yeah, exactly. Oh, no, they're not going to do without that.
The other part is the social thing too, right? You can't even commit, so you can't, they know your name.
Well, that's
There's
what I
lots
was
of
saying
things
about
in here.
having it as a community
Right.
building.
Right.
Where different groups come in and you get the community involved in it, you get them excited about it. But you've got to have the space for that too.
Well, I understand, but you start hitting the real numbers and this and that, that's going to be tough to get over. I went through it twice, right? You got I supported the library, you get that.
Thank you.
that hate
Okay,
going
thanks.
on.
Thank you for coming.
Yes.
I hate to, I'm not there anymore.
No, but I mean, I go through some of these little, like Grafton, those places. Grant you, all right, they've got Lyman Gordon out there, and I mean, they've expanded, but, they take pride in introducing new things. Oh, we're gonna have a new library, or we're gonna have a new police station. There's support for it. You come forward with, in some of these towns, and you say, we're gonna do, and they'll look at you like, what?
Yeah,
Why? It's frustrating, why?
we had all the selectmen, we're in favor of the library, this and that. Bottom line here is,
They
it's
voted
dollars,
against it.
a cent, dollars
They
and
voted to
cents.
close it.
It's the dollar amount at the end. I looked at Marlboro. Marlboro was getting this colossal library put in. And it's right behind their old one, right? Marlboro had several statues of turtles and stuff there. And I'm like, oh, they're gonna move the turtles, and they did. But, and ducks and whatever, but they're getting this massive building, and I wonder, God, the amount of money that they're putting into that is phenomenal.
It's an investment.
I understand.
You also have to come to mind that Marlboro has a lot of industry, a
Yeah.
lot. And
So-
that's where
right,
a lot of their money comes from, and Douglas is a bed and breakfast town.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of the money there. And that's where some people that I've talked to, their concerns are, I can only afford this amount of taxes. They don't want to lose the library or anything, but they're like, but I need to put food on my table. So that's where a lot of the people I talk to have a struggle with. Now I have a question for Justin. The thoughts of blending 2 towns with 1 library, would that be helpful? But would that possibly mean we couldn't keep the one we have?
I don't see a future where Douglas can fund 2 libraries.
No, I meant 2 towns
But
working
2
together.
towns regionalizing, there actually is a carrot that the MBLC drops to make that happen, which is that if 2 towns regionalize, you could drop one's municipal appropriation requirement. So you can make the cost of funding both of them cheaper in the long run. But I mean, like, our only regionalization opportunity is really with Sutton. So
They need a library.
where would we build it?
Yeah.
I mean, it would have to be sort of between here and Manchog, I reckon, on
So
West
That's not gonna
Street,
fly.
which is, I mean, it would be awesome. It would be an
Yeah.
awesome thing to have for everyone who has a car.
True.
So, two towns have done it, Hamilton, Wenham did it, and their buildings were less than a mile apart. They did it quite a number of years ago, and they were only a mile apart. There were 2 other towns that were close, and one town voted yes, and the other one voted no. And the reason more towns won't do it, I mean, they're geographic, but bottom line is control. Every town wants their own.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They don't want any other towns.
You'd have to get our board of trustees and their board of
Right, it'd have
trustees
to
to
be one.
dissolve and form a new board
And
of
form a new-
trustees.
And we want you to be the director,
It'd be
okay?
like a regional school
School,
system or
yeah.
type.
And
you
there's
know,
always a struggle with those
Right,
too.
but so it's actually something that MBLC encourages, would love to have it happen. But it's the towns.
Well, the town tried to, well, this is going back 1970 again, it was before I was living here. They attempted to regionalize with Sutton.
Yep, yeah,
You might have thought that, I don't know what you were asking them to do.
right. So all these things are,
They were afraid that, because if that had happened, Douglas would now be Dudley.
Oh, yeah, definitely, definitely. Oh, yeah, because we'll spend money.
Well,
anyway,
that was my 2 cents.
the-
I think they need to have a better system of delegating this money out. That building could certainly benefit just by not having a bathroom halfway downstairs, okay? And just, that's nonsense, right? Why, you know, a lot of places, industries today, they're not allowed to do that stuff. Are you kidding me? But
If we can find our own money, we can throw this all out the window and do
Yeah,
whatever we want.
absolutely, that's right.
But
There-
if
there's-
MBLC's paying for it, we have to build what they want.
well, but
Yeah.
the other piece is that the study would still have to happen. You don't just say,
We're gonna do this.
we're gonna do this. I mean, you'd still have to you'd still have to tell the architect what you want, and the architect would still have to look at the structure that you have and figure out if it could work, and then, or how to make it work, and then would you have to give anything up? Would there be other compromises and things? So you still have to do this kind of work, even just to make it accessible.
And you know what, we had the architect.
Yep.
The money, what, you know, it cost us like 70,000 to have him to draw the whole
Yep.
thing up. And all this stuff, and all that, then we got it from the town, and
Yep.
all that went to nothing, okay? It was a total
That was-
waste of
It was
70,000,
your,
right?
but it was-
And I'm sure it's lying around someplace, and it's probably outdated, and this, that. But I even had the original back to when they were going to do the 16,000 square foot
Yeah.
drawings.
My
okay?
question for you though is, would that have failed if there hadn't have been library board trustees standing up at town meeting speaking against it?
Yeah, well, you know, they're taxpayers too, okay? And that was,
Like, if you can't even get your own team.
no, I know,
message,
don't
it's
do
doomed.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that's my fear, is we go into another grant process and end up with a split message.
Yeah.
At the end of it, in which
Yeah.
case we'd been better off never doing this to begin with.
Yeah. You know, this stuff is nice, okay? But come up with the reality of what, maybe you should add another one. What does the town of Douglas need?
Well, that's what this is.
Besides-
That's
No,
what
no,
this
no.
whole exercise
Besides,
is
need
for.
besides the library, you mean?
No. We had all these great things to add and this and that. What does it, bottom line, need? What can you do? You know, parking, that should be a paid parking lot, right?
Well, through this
Access.
process, like
That's what we're doing,
Like, do the economy version.
But that's
you do
what
see
this.
what things come up
Yeah.
again and again.
Yeah.
So you
Right.
see the
And-
patterns.
You know,
Yep, and then
the patterns
there are
have
no,
emerged in the surveys.
there's no cost attached to any of this
No, I got
at
that.
this point. Yeah, and
And
then,
it's good that it's that way, and it's nice for you to dream.
But
But
it's also a way of drawing people into the process.
hopefully,
I mean,
Yeah.
it'd be nice if more people were here,
but then,
it gets people invested in.
right, and the other thing is that as we go through and refine this, I mean, we'll see how some of it comes out, how some of the parameters, I mean, you need a certain amount of space. Chairs take up a certain amount of space, tables take up a certain amount of space. You need to be able to accommodate a certain amount of people. So that's math, you figure out, I need this many seats, that's the math.
I understand, but
Yeah.
we did that. We counted
Yep.
people coming through the door, and the spaces, and what it is, and how many visitors are there, and things like that, right? I got that part.
Yeah.
Right? What I'm saying is that, and it's frustrating, because that was 20 years ago that they started this process of getting a bathroom that's usable in that building, okay? Access, that poor lady doesn't have to have a kid that she's holding one hand and another one in the stroller dragging it in, okay?
Oh, absolutely.
And that, it's discouraging that it's gone, in this day and time, right, that it has to go that way. The system is wrong. to
I'm
keep
hearing
doing
you.
it,
We're
right?
all hearing you, but even if we do that, I'm still gonna have to tell
Yeah,
people
I know.
no every single
Exactly.
day whenever they come up the steps and say, can I do this at your library?
No.
Do you have a private place where I can study?
No, you're right.
Is there, we wanna solve both problems at once.
Right.
Because
No,
it's a
you're right.
multi-lifetime.
You're still gonna have the same amount of folks coming.
So
with
did
an
you buy one of those
elevator.
$1
Once you
tickets
win
the other
the
day?
library, you
Space.
typically get 30% increase immediately, even.
Yeah,
if
no,
it's just
you're
your
right.
door.
Yeah, and,
And it used to be more. They would tell, we had the stats that we double our usage of the library if we had done that 10 years ago.
Yeah,
You wanna go to a nice place, that's it. I
And,
mean, whether it be a store or a market, you feel good about it. Instead of, going into some cramp, like the old market that used to be downtown.
Oh, you can say it, you can say the cramped old library.
Yeah.
No, but no, you know what I'm saying. I mean, you go into, it's gotta be inviting for people to be
yep, to
wanting to go.
drawn in. But it also, there's no point in doing, I think, as you said, just only part of the work.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do something, you may as well spend your money to get the whole thing done.
Half a loaf isn't always better.
Yeah, right. I mean, but that's a decision for you folks in your town. When you have all the facts, I hope this will give you all
It's
the
worth
facts.
another try. I know your struggles and I hear where you're coming from.
Or
I think
this
it's-
process unveils those people out there who are willing to give us $500,000 for me.
Right, because MBLC doesn't care where the money comes from. It can be donors, it can be donors.
Right, I know that.
Yeah,
So
so they're perfectly
we
willing,
need a rich,
I'm telling you.
perfectly willing.
I don't think Ernie Senior's still with us.
I got a customer, lives in Thompson, and I do a lot of high-end landscape. This guy built his own library, and because he lives in an old house, he built it post and beam. And he has all these old books, and the environment in that building, it's the proper air, and
If he
the
likes
moisture.
libraries, tell him.
Oh, and you know what? I would be like,
Name a room after him.
I'm like, you know what? Right? I would love to ask him to, hey, come on, give us a couple $1 million. Just a couple million, right? It'd be a great person, but it's, I'm a landscaper. I'm not the guy that approaches them for that. But
Don't sell yourself short, Joe.
yeah, I know. It's, I know. It would be nice.
Anybody was any connections anywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You lose them.
It would be nice, He doesn't
I
live in
think that's the
Douglas.
whole moral of the conversation. You gotta have a little bit of hope.
Yeah, well,
Like you said, it's a campaign. You have,
But strategic hope.
you have to work at it.
It takes a lot of work.
Yep.
And to be honest, I mean, like, I wasn't here when it went on, but every story I have heard is that the trustees really followed the law on that renovation of Thames.
You know what?
Namely, a dude.
I got you. Right.
But a very influential dude.
You're not, it wasn't realistic, okay? It wasn't what this town could. If they had something that was practical, right, which is Douglas is practical, it had a better chance.
Douglas has changed a lot, though.
Yeah, you're
That's
right.
right.
It's
That's
not
why
the same
we can
town it
keep
was.
that's it.
And
keep
what
dreaming.
interests me is I see more of an appetite for undergoing major library work from everyone in all corners than from the trustees. The trustees are the ones
So
who
when-
feel like it's doomed to fail, whereas
The other-
like the town administrator's like, oh, this is the right
Yeah,
direction,
the
let's
town
go.
administrator was very receptive. So when these series go on on YouTube or your local appeal, this will spark conversation with people in town.
Yeah.
And hopefully bring some positivity and some enthusiasm to it.
Douglas has passed 3 overrides in its history. The library has been the architect of all 3 of them.
Well,
Yeah, yeah, there's a love deep down in it, but boy, it took us to the very gloom or doom, right? I mean, we were gonna make it that day or not, right?
Well, I mean, that's every election day.
Yeah, well, it
Well, at least
wasn't.
the overrides get people out too, you know, and.
Yeah, well, you're right.
But the economy has also changed.
I have hoped and hoped and hoped and hoped that we would come up
The
with a
direction
solution and get
at
a
the
combination
state
of
level
donors that
has
would allow
changed.
us to do things without going to the taxpayers for an inclusion or override. But eventually, it's going to have to go to the taxpayers for an inclusion or override,
Yeah.
I think, because barring a miracle that you were talking about, and in a way, you know, I kind of think it should, because it's a referendum on the community. Does the community,
Yes.
I mean, it gives them the chance to vote. If they vote no, then
Well, I mean,
it sucks for me, but.
I know, but the other part too is, you know, you've got to show them that the library is a value that's needed in this community.
Yeah,
I
we've
mean,
done a lot of work on that in the past
And it's,
7 years.
just-
it's very hard to do that, especially when everybody pulls out that little thing in their pocket and Googles up any information going.
except that, how reliable is all the information?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
How reliable
A
is that?
lot of people in
How
town
do you
let me
know
pull out their
it's
phone, and 2 of the apps on their home screen are library apps.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
between Libby and the CWMR's app.
Yeah.
It's-
Right, no. No, it is. I mean, look
And if you
at,
didn't
we get
have
that
the
bookstore
library,
across
you'd
the
have
street. I would have never guessed, I would have thought we'd have another pizza place instead of another bookstore.
I think it's miraculous that place is still there. I'm
I
rooting for
can't
them
believe
so
that,
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know you have issues, but I'm rooting for them so hard.
Yeah, yeah, you know,
No. I mean,
Yeah.
the bookstore, even in a major city, is having a hard time, you know,
Yeah.
trying to make it.
you know, I don't know what the answer is.
I know what I want my answer to be.
Yeah, I know, hey, good for you, right?
No, my answer is not probably what you want it to, what you think it is. You know, like I keep what I want to do to the library deep down. I've told you, but I'm not telling anybody else.
Well, and I can guess,
I want to make it a used bookstore in Amherst. I just want to go work in a used bookstore in Amherst now.
yeah, well,
I want a nice, you know, state-of-the-art facility on the first floor, and on the second floor, I just want it to be a maze of dusty stuff.
yeah. And then, you know what, that,
But
that may
that's
be
not
where the,
what people want, so.
well, it may be where the board in the past failed. They should have not revamped that building, let it go and put a new building in. We thought about the one down,
I don't think the board failed, you know, I mean, we still have a library.
yeah,
Uh,
well,
It's
you're right.
much better than it was 20
Yeah.
years ago, too.
Well, that's positive, so there's,
Yeah,
We've made lots of incremental improvements.
But if the
We just
direction-
all the
You've done
ones we can.
you've done amazing things in there.
if the direction had changed into a new building back when we did our second one, would that have made a big difference? And then that building, right, I mean, there used to, before your time, the bank next door there was a beautiful house there and it had a widow walk and it burnt.
Doc Spooner would be.
Yeah, Doc Spooner, that's right. It was a gorgeous building, and it burnt, and then it's going to rebuild, and it never did. They put the bank in there, and maybe that we need the tornado to knock that one down, and you move to, you know,
Yeah,
other
the town lost
places.
an opportunity, Whitman didn't buy that.
Yep, yeah.
It would have solved so many issues.
Yeah.
Even if they just made a parking lot there. I mean,
Exactly.
Somewhere for the delivery trucks to park.
Yeah, you know, a lot of opportunities. And I've only been here, and I'm a Douglas guy for 42 years. A lot of missed
At the
opportunities.
same time though, like things right now are looking really good.
Well, good. Good.
I want to move to Douglas right now.
Do you really?
I mean, just watch like some of the selectmen meetings, the economic development and whatnot, and like looking at the demographic data
Oh,
for what's
the
about to happen here. I mean,
Demographics,
Douglas is like
I don't know.
Northborough of
Yeah.
Blackstone Valley.
it's ready to blow up.
It's
Somebody
ready,
just
yeah.
has to light.
Well, the construction on 146 is here. We've been waiting for it
Yeah.
forever,
Forever.
and it's here.
Yeah.
All of the infrastructure improvements that are going to be, you know, like what they're doing right now with the money they've leveraged from the cubes on Gilboa, they're building a new freaking bridge. I mean, that's kind
What are
of
they gonna
amazing.
do though with Main Street for the traffic? That's the thing.
Well, it's not going to be
Handle
coming
the
up Main
traffic.
Street.
Yeah,
It's going to be
go right out to
up the
146.
146.
No, I don't mean the cubes. I'm talking just with building and revitalization and everything.
They'll have to do some more like with the Southwest route to
Somehow we've got to
146
get
go to
traffic
Uxbridge,
through
but
the town.
But like money-wise, Douglas is in a very good spot.
Oh, yeah,
Compared to any
definitely.
of our
And
neighbors.
there's available land too.
Well,
Don't take away all my trees in my town. Justin has heard this story before. I like the trees in this town. I am not worried about going to another town to go to CVS or to go grocery shopping. I've lived here a very long time, raised my children here. Now there's grandchildren in this town. So
But back to my point, like, I don't care about the trees. I'm not touching the trees. I traded the one in front of the library the other day. I feel like I did a pretty good job.
yeah, when they cut one of those trees down, I'm like, oh, man.
What were we on? Economic stability. Douglas finally has economic stability
Because I was like,
for the first time since like the 1970s.
yeah,
Just don't take all my.
that's good for your job. Right. No. But I wouldn't move out of your house. I like the water feature in your backyard.
My house needs so much freaking.
I know, but I still like the water feature in your backyard.
I live
Are we
on,
done, so Sarah?
Have you ever drive up Whittier Farms?
Yeah.